Hello and welcome back everyone to Blended Geometry Nodes workshop for Jungle Vines. In the last lesson, we set ourselves up with some vine mesh that we're actually able to get ourselves on from curves. And now we're going to go ahead and get ourselves some leaves to be spawned in the on top of these meshes basically. So for us to do that, we'll firstly grab ourselves some parameters to work with, and we're going to create ourselves yet another tab. Again, we're just going to go ahead and select the empty one. We're going to just make a duplicate out of it right away, slide it all the way to the bottom like so, and change this to be called leaves. Like so. And the next thing is we'll need a couple of options. So let's go ahead and grab a new input. We're going to change this type to be collections this time. This will allow us to select leaf collection. So let's go ahead and find the collections like so. We can call this one, we can call this one just collections. Let's go ahead and see how this looks like. We can actually set the default one to leaves A, like so. Description. Let's go ahead and change this to call it leaves collection, so. And, or actually we can just call this collection. I think that's fine as well. Since we're only planning to have one collection, it's more than enough to just call it collection as is. And I'm just going to go ahead and click backspace. And I'm just going to go ahead and select leaves A over here as well. The next one, we're going to go ahead and select, we're going to grab ourselves a new input. We're going to make a float value for density, for how many leaves we'd like to spawn for the mesh. And this one, we can call this one density. And default value, we're just going to keep it as 1. Minimum value, we're just going to keep it as 0. That's going to give us the right result. I will also update the density over here, so backspace. So to get actually the spawning of the leaves, we can actually make use out of the set position from this point onwards. We can grab ourselves the curve. Let's go ahead and simply drag this downwards like so, and search for sample curve like so. The next one, we'll need to grab ourselves a value, or sorry, the factors for where we want the spawn to happen. For the leaves, we can simply just get ourselves a random value. So random value it is, and we're just going to attach it over on the factor like so. Then we can actually visualize how the leaves would look like, where they're going to spawn in regards to the setup. From the value, we can grab ourselves points. So, oh, sorry, that's not it. We can grab from points count. So, and that's actually should be position. Let me just go ahead and fix that up real quick. And we can increase the count. So, and we can add it to join geometry actually. I'm going to go ahead and just quickly fix this up, just like that. We're now going to attach it to join geometry and see if it actually behaves the way we want it to. And I just realized that it shouldn't be going from the value, it should be going from position. Let me just go ahead and fix that up, and there we go. We're getting ourselves the right result. I'm going to lower down the value for the radius so we can actually see where there's being spawned. So over here. We will also want to make sure that all curves are being used up. Right now, it's only being used for one, which if we were to change the curve index, we can flip between them. But for this particular case, we want to make sure that all curves are being used up just like that. All right. Now we will have an issue in regards to the count. Is the main issue is going to be if we were to add density as is to the count value, and if we were to change the length of the curvature generation, you'll realize that the smaller of a length you're going to get, all the points are going to get bundled up in one area. But once you start changing the length, growing this, they're going to be spread out even further. What we want to make sure happens is that we want to make sure that the density overall stays the same. So they're going to be spread out more or less in the same kind of way throughout all of these curvatures. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to make use out of the curve length itself. We're going to grab the position. From the position, we're going to grab ourselves the curve length, like so. And I'm just going to go ahead and actually move everything a little bit off to the right side. Then if we were to grab this curve length and actually get ourselves a new group input, let's go ahead and grab ourselves a new group input. With density, we can add a map node, like so. And I'm just going to go ahead and multiply basically density. I'm going to click Ctrl and H to hide this long list out of the way. I'm going to multiply this with the curve length. And for some reason it decided to unplug itself. So let me just plug the curve length back in, like so. Now we can actually multiply both of these values together. And we can add this to the point value. So I'm going to actually lower this down a little bit, like so. And add this to the count, just like that. And what you'll notice is that when we start changing the length right now, the overall size, the overall amount should be kept more or less the same in regards to how well they're being spread out. So once I start, maybe if I were to change the density to be like so, if I were to change the length now, we're going to get this kind of a result, which is exactly what we want. Now we can get those points to be set as instance on points. So we can spawn our objects, we can spawn our leaves. Let's go ahead and do that actually right away. We're going to drag it from points. We're going to search for instance on points. It's a very useful geometry node for when we want to spawn additional objects and whatnot in locations for where the points are. Let's go ahead and grab ourselves the collection that we had. So I'm actually just going to find the group input over here. I'm going to click Ctrl and H to open the whole setup up. And I'm going to get the collection to be placed in, actually I need to grab the collection to be placed in collection info first. There we go. So we could grab all of the instances. I'm going to click Ctrl and H to hide this out of the way. And now, once we plug this entire selection, we are going to get ourselves a nice setup. So we're going to plug the instances to instances like so, which should show us after we, of course, plug this entire setup over here. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Just like that. We're going to get this sort of a mess. The reason being is that it's actually not picking separate children. We need to make sure that this is being ticked on like so. And we're going to select pick instance. We're going to make sure that we firstly scale everything down and they're being put off to the side. We can, by the way, just click and hold it and drag it downwards to select all of them at once. For the scale, I'm going to set it to 0.1 and I'm going to see how this looks like. All right, that's going to be it for this lesson. In the next one, we're going to work on in regards to the scale parameters. So thank you so much for watching and I will be seeing you in a bit.